Kirsten here at Hooked on Running, and welcome to the first of our Q&A sessions for the 2019 Sea to Surf training. In these sessions we're going to be answering any questions you guys have had from your training. Normally we will have them on a Tuesday rather than on a Friday, just so that we can then cover off on any of the questions you've got from your training over the weekend. Today we are going to be not answering any actual questions from you guys. I'm just going to be talking about a few topics dear to my heart. Today we'll look at the rating of perceived exertion, surfaces and terrain, along with the importance of walking elements in some of the programs. Firstly, a bit more of an explanation of the rating of perceived exertion and how that's used in your training programs. The rating of perceived exertion, it's more commonly referred to as the RPE. It's a rating scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is sitting watching Netflix and 10 is running away from a lion. So each number describes how you should feel. It doesn't refer to a set pace per se. Sometimes 3 out of 10 might feel like 7 minutes a K for you, and other times it might feel like 6 minutes a K or 5 minutes a K. A lot of that depends on how things such as the weather, how hilly your route is, what surface you're running on, whether you're running on grass or a hard surface, how much sleep you've been getting, and even how much stress you might be getting from other things in your life. So what we're doing if you're running at a 3 out of 10 is you should be working on your running feeling like an easy pace and not worrying so much about the pace that you're running. I've definitely found over my years of coaching that people tend to run quite a bit faster than an easy pace for most of their training. You don't want to do that. Running faster than an easy 3 out of 10 during your runs, which is supposed to be an easy 3 out of 10, can leave you too tired to get the most out of your harder sessions, and it can also lead to overtraining and possibly illness or injury. As a guide, at 3 out of 10 you should be able to easily maintain a conversation. If you think in terms of paces, it should be about 25% slower than your 5K race time. That means a 5K that you have raced fairly recently. So it might be a park run or it might be some other kind of run, but it definitely should be something that's recent, not 25% slower than your 5K PB that you did 10 years ago. So that would mean that if you run 25 minutes for 5Ks right now, and I'm not just talking about in a training run, I'm talking about if you're actually in a race situation or you're doing a time trial and you really are pushing yourself. So if you're doing 25 minutes for 5Ks in that race situation, your easy pace should be between about 6 minutes and 6.5 minutes a K, or even slower for your longer runs. If your race pace is about 30 minutes a K, your easy runs would be between about 7:15 and 7:45 minutes a K. And if you're a 20-minute 5K, your easy run should be around about 4:50-ish to 5:30 minute per K pace. So I've given a range there because, as I said before, it depends on all those other things like weather and terrain and surface, how you're feeling on the day. So a 5 out of 10 is a moderate effort, so you're definitely working hard, but you've got quite a bit left in your tank. When I say working hard, I mean, you're starting not to be able to so easily maintain a conversation. You still can talk, but you might prefer your partner to be quiet and let you concentrate on running. And a 7 out of 10 is starting to get quite hard. You still, again, it's not like a pace that you do a flat out 100 metre sprint at, obviously, because you wouldn't be able to maintain that for more than 100 metres. But you're definitely working hard, but there's still a little bit more left there. So now let's have a look at terrain and running surfaces and why they are important. It's really not just an accident that we've put different surfaces and terrains and specified those in your program. Not every session was specified that, but on most of your long runs we will have specified the type of terrain we want you to run on and the surface we want you to run on. So let's look at surfaces first. A soft surface can be something, it is grass basically, or it can also be soft sand or trails, but I do not want you running on soft sand unless you're very, very used to it, because it just takes a lot of toll on your Achilles tendon and your calves. So mostly we're looking at the nature strip beside a footpath, or a park or a trail. You do need to be quite careful if you're running on a trail, especially if there's lots of tree roots and rocks around, so it's probably best to leave that until you've got a reasonable level of fitness. So there's some nice soft surfaces. Also, most treadmills these days, from the point of view of impact on your body, kind of equate to grass. So they can be a good choice for a soft surface run. The hardest surface to run on is the footpath, and that's said to be about 10 times harder than the road. Of course, we can't recommend that you run on the road because cars are a hazard and they hurt when they hit you. Harder surfaces put more stress on your body, but since most races are run on roads or footpaths, it is important to include some harder surfaces in your training, so you're used to it on race day. Harder surface also helping to sharpen up your reaction time as your foot doesn't sink into the ground as it does on grass, so you've got sort of a quicker lift off. So when we specify soft surfaces, we'd really like you to try to get at least half your run in as a soft surface. I know that it's not always easy to find soft surfaces to run on, but running on the grass beside the footpath is a really good start. So when it comes to terrain, most of your sessions, particularly your long runs, will specify what type of terrain to use. It'll be flat to undulating, or undulating and hilly. Unless it's otherwise specified, your faster running, so your interval workouts, and even the fast finish part of an easy run, that should be done on a flat surface. So an undulating route, gently rolling hills for most of the way, without including any massive hills. Obviously hilly, that's pretty self-explanatory, and think 30 to surf and you think hills, and you do need to train on hills if you're going to enjoy the race. Along with running too fast when you're supposed to be running easy, I do think that doing long runs on flat terrain when undulating or hilly terrain is specified in the program is one of the biggest training mistakes I see amongst my runners. It would be much better to do a slow run on hills if that's what's asked for, than to sort of get your run a little bit faster but doing it on the flat. Obviously, if you're doing a slow run on hills, you need to slow your pace down going up the hill to keep the effort the same. And the next thing I wanted to look at was just why some of the programs have walking in them. Again, it's about reducing the load on your body. People have qualified for the US Olympic marathon team by walking through drink stations, so don't feel that walking's beneath you. We want you to be able to build time on your feet at a lower intensity. So it's really good for people who are not used to regularly running, or regularly running as much, or if we're trying to build the time on your feet quite quickly. So the walking elements of your program are very important. Some of you might have run walks alternating throughout the session, like 2.5 minutes running, 2.5 minutes walking. And some of you might have 5 or 10 minutes either side of, say, a 15 or a 20-minute run. Don't skip the walk. Just increases the time on your legs by quite a lot. And every bit of time on your legs at the start of your program particularly will help you to be able to run further towards the end of your program and enjoy the race. So that is all I wanted to talk with you about today. Bye for now.